because we got each subject and this theta and this class. What facilitation of the king and naturally which one has so many and it can be downside.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so we are going to start from like answering our paper, our text paper, what we did last time. Through the time. So that next time we can also do from first principles, since today is just the beginning. Is it okay? So basically, like when we are looking at our test paper, the first question I can display it here on WhatsApp and review the question for some time. It was saying, let me see, wait. It was saying, create a vector of form matrix V, WX with the following sets respectively. So now let's create a vector in this form of 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D, and also age, education, and sex respectively. So they are telling us that we first creating a vector of V, W, and X with elements of 2, 3, 4, 5, and also another element with A, comma, B, C, D, and 3. Then we have another element of age, education, and sex. So that's to create these objects. Like you call the V, you call it this one, W, you call it this one, and X, you call it this one. So when you are creating objects in R, what we first do, of course, we shall always first assign an object which will be V. And this object V is the one supposed to capture the variables of now. We concatenate, we shall say maybe 2, 3, 4, and 5. Are we together there? So they're saying that vector object V. Oh, this one making a noise. So we are saying that vector V will hold objects of 2, 3, 4, and 5. So say that when you run this one, it does create a vector, and these are numeric numbers of 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then another vector would be W, which stores variables of concatenating of. So since these ones are letters of the alphabet, so they are stored by in this format. B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, then 3. So this will be now a vector which covers these elements of A, B, C, D, and 3. And that will be W. And also another object X which covers age, education, and sex. So we shall have an object X with categories of of age. Then also have education, and also sex. So basically, these are the three objects they told us to create. So if you want to view your objects which are created in your by assigning each and every variable, we use a command of printing. That when you print the object v, this outcome is supposed to display for you the variables which you entered into in v of 2, 3, 4, and 5. Also, that if you also do a print of w, it is supposed to display the same elements of a, b, c, d, and 3. And also, if you also do the same thing of printing the objects of x, it's also supposed to give you the results for age, education, and sex. So basically, this was the first question of creating a vector v, w, and x, which is uniform. And this is what we have done. This is the way one way of creating the objects. Then the second question said, change the values in w by deleting the second value in the vector. So they're telling us that change. The next question is like change the values of w by deleting the second object. So what I'm trying to tell us, that you delete this element b and form a new vector with a, b, c, and d. So how do you read the elements in this vector? We are going to call it that we are going to look at now the idea, like you get the w and get its unit or its position 2, and you replace it with not applicable. So we are saying that we get a vector w and we focus on the position 2, which is a 2. Then they are telling us that you replace that object with a missing value. So this function will have deleted object b from w. And if you want to say it has worked, you have to just say print. You print w. You find that no, this one has not worked. This one is not working very well. Oh, so this one comes first.
Single.
Yes. I'm saying what? What are they saying?
It's a bit case sensitive.
Let me see. Yeah, it has worked. So you can see that now, but why is 0 being the same way? I don't know, that one has not worked very well as expected. Because I'm saying I've just want to create another object with only b. But they have not deleted it from the original element. So they are not sure. So that this one does not delete in this format. But there will be also some other way of how you can delete, I think. Then the next question talked about that you create a list. Like you create a list of elements of v, w, and x, and form a list L. So how would we form a list now? So we're going to form a list that we shall have to just like combine now. We're going to combine our variables. So they are telling us that you form a variable L and list all the elements of V, W, and X. So in addition, we have just have like listed them down. So when you just do a listing, they combine elements, and they tell you there are 3 elements in that variable. So if you want to view them somewhere, you can also print the L. So when you try to print, you can see that the first variable was V, which has 2, 3, and 4. The first variable was W, which had A, B, C, D, and 3. Another variable was age, education, and sex. So this is the listing we've been talking about. Then they told us that create a matrix which is a 2 by 3 matrix, and call it M with random numbers, forming a normal distribution. So they want you to create a matrix. So they want us create a matrix M, of course, with which is a 2 by 3 and to be a matrix of random numbers. To be a matrix of random numbers following a normal distribution. So so what shall we do here? Distribution like that. So for that one, we are going to create a matrix M. We are going to create a matrix M and assign which will be our object M. And set the matrix of random numbers. So for it to be a 2 by 3 matrix, 2 by 3 it has to be having 2 rows and 3 columns. So it will be 2, 2, 2. So the thing is that we're going to create a matrix with 2 rows and 3 columns. So this will be a 2 by 3 matrix. So that's what I want you to create, and then you can view. They're telling us that. So when you look at this one, they're telling us that in matrix R equals 4, N equals 2, and column equals 3, that an argument assigned column 3 does not work. So yeah, we shall also try to put maybe N columns, and we see what it does. Also, they're telling us that in a matrix RMO, the data length 4 is not a submultiple or a multiple of the number of columns. So they're trying to mean that, like, if you want to form a matrix, you are supposed to know a 3 by 3 matrix has how many numbers. If it is a 2 by 3 matrix, this one will have 6 elements. So we're supposed to have just substituted here instead of 4. We're supposed to have put a 6. So this one is supposed to now to work and forms a matrix now. And if you want to view it, you can come and see the elements of the matrix. You can wait and see the elements of this matrix. So you can see this is a 2 by 3 matrix in this element. So that's why it does one, because that's 6 entries. So that's why we had to put N of normal of 3, and it's N by 2 matrix. Are we together there? Then you're telling us that the next question was, like, after you getting this matrix, they're telling us that coerce the matrix and into a data frame. So for it to coerce the matrix into a data frame, this is what you're going to do. The matrix to be into a data frame, what we do is, like, you get this, you're going to say that you get this matrix M, and then assign it to be a data frame now. So just a data frame. And it's a data frame from what? From that M. So this one is supposed to form now this new matrix. This M is formed a matrix of 2 observations and 3 variables. So this now becomes a data frame. And you can also view it and see that this is what they mean by making it a data frame. It's no longer matrix now. Then the next question was telling us that, so that was like, basically that was our question one. This one would form like our question one. It will be like question one. We had to create this vector V with 2, 3, 4, and 5. What see the outcomes? We can also see what is this structure. Maybe the structure of V, and we shall find out V is just the numeric variables of 1 to 4 numbers, which is 2, 3, and 4. You can also see the class. You can also see the class of V. Find that V is a numeric, it's a data class of numeric. You can also maybe come here and see the structure of W. Find that W is now a character because there's a mixture of characters and integers, so it forms a character as is. Like data type can also see maybe a class of W. So think that a class of W will also still be a character. Then also maybe what you can also talk about of the things of maybe listing and matrices, we can also like maybe rename some of them. Like you can change this one maybe to what can we do? Okay. So basically this was our number one for the beginning. This is what we are required to do for number one in our test. Are we together? Hello?
Yes.
We are together?
Yeah, we are
Oh,
following.
we are.
Okay, so this basically was our number one. So then our number two was telling us that you load the
Nambuuza nti mugabo tannaba kuva mu langi.
you load the
Mugamba ye naye n'omugana naye alabika yaliridde wano.
you load the inbuilt data set long. So you load the inbuilt data set longly and rename it test one. So to answer this question, what we just do is just like the thing as like to form and not to just first, of course, we have to first call it. So we can first call it that data and say wrongly. And this, so when you just now, you said it comes, it's going to load, which is our data wrongly. See here. So they are telling us that after that, you rename that data as test one. So we create an object test one, and for this will be, now this will be like the wrongly. So you can see that it comes with 16 observations and 7 variables. So that's our data set. So this was like answer for number one, just renaming the object data frame as test one. Then the next question was saying, use an appropriate function to check for the dimension, data types, and summary of the data set. So first to check for the dimension. So what you just do is of course just like getting the dim of that data set, test one. And they will show that this is the answer shows that this is 16 rows and 7 columns. So that's the dimension of the data set. Then I also tell you to look at the data types. So to look at the data types, you can also say maybe a structure of the test one. And this one also shows you that maybe they're telling us that we have variables with the data frame with GDP with a numeric, and also have here which is an integer. You can also maybe use a function called class of test1, and this one will display the data type of each and the data, and this will tell us that this is a data frame. Also, maybe if you want to view each individual thing, you can also maybe say that class of test1, then you call a certain variable, maybe GNP deflator, and this one will show that this is now a numeric data type. And also, like if you want to do a summary, we say that if you're doing a summary with a data set, you can also you can just plot, see the relationship between the variables, or can just say summarize the whole data set. So if you try to do maybe a plot, just plotting all the data sets, the variables, it gives an outcome as a correlation plot. And you can see that we have a correlation plot. So showing that maybe you can see this would be GNP deflator with GNP. You can see it is an increasing relationship. Also, you can see this is scatter plot. GNP and unemployment is just a scatter. GNP and armed forces. So you can see this is just like a brief. See which ones are highly correlated, and also which one has which ones have a correlation between each other. Okay, so basically this is just like when they ask you to just maybe summarize the variables looking at the relationship. You can also do maybe just a summary. Since most of them are being numeric variables, you can also just say a summary of test1. And also this one can give you a summary of the data set. You can come and see GNP deflator has a minimum of 83, the first quantile has 94, the median has 100, and the maximum has 116. Come also to GNP deflator, the minimum is this one. Unemployment, the minimum is this one. The armed force minimum is this one. So basically, this is just like a brief summary of your data set. You can also do maybe a correlation between maybe the GNP. You can also maybe do a correlation between just one of GNP deflator with maybe just one of maybe of course in this one. So just one with maybe an unemployed just one with the armed forces. So basically this one will have supposed to give you telling us that you cannot find a function Correr. Wait. So for correlation, I think can also ask for help to see. You can see Correr help to see like where does it? Saying they cannot function the function Correr, so that it's supposed to be maybe a single R. So you can see that a correlation between GNP deflator and GNP is very high of 0.99. So that also this outcome can help you to generate a correlation matrix. What are they saying? I'm sorry. See that error in symbol. Is not applicable environment. Condition has the length one. Let's remove this one. So basically, this is just like how you do, like a brief summary of your work. Then also they're telling us that use a pairs plot to see the relationship between the variables. So this is what we have done here. This is what we have done. They're telling us that use pairs to see the relationship of the variables. So we shall what we shall just say, just say what we have done. We just have to plot the data set. So when you plot it, of course, give this as a new outcome. Then you come and just say zoom. So you can see maybe there is when you come to GNP and GDP deflator, you can this table here. That there is what should I call it? Like as the GDP increases, so the GNP deflator also increases. You can also come and see that the GNP deflator and the unemployment, you can see there is maybe some correlation, which can be high. So you can also maybe see GNP deflator and also maybe population, you can also see there's some increasing relationship, etc. So this is what they call the pairs, to just see our glance of your data set to see how it is looking like correlation between different variables. Then the next question was talking about that you create another attribute called cat year that has categorical values for year. We know that if you want to first view that, you're supposed to first have to see like how does the variable like look like. So you can first say maybe the, if you say structure, or you can just say maybe names of test one and here test here and here to see what is in here. This one is not working. So maybe structure of test one and here. So it's understanding that you can say these are just the WhatsApp group. So you're saying that you have over like 16 years. So they're telling us that create another variable called cat here that has categorical variables over here. So what this one is going to mean is like, since these ones are being unique, you just like change the variables now to become categorical variables. So what we do here, we're just going to now like pull this cat here. What we shall say as dot character.